Well, I don't know if it's smacks of desperation or what. I mean, we keep hearing from the likes of Chuck Schumer and others that the Senate could pass the immigration reform bill with 70 votes or at least the high 60s. And after rejecting several amendments on tighter border security, now they have come up with an agreement to bolster border security, or at least that's what they say. Joining us now to get to the bottom of all this and what it really means is Stephen A. Camarota. He is the Director of Research for the Center for Immigration Studies. Hey, Stephen, how are you, sir?
Very well. Thanks for having me on.
All right, my pleasure. All right, so why is this? I mean, this seems to have, at least to me, come out of nowhere for no reason. I mean, they were in line to pass this in the Senate, correct?
Well, you know, it's like anything else. Don't believe everything you read, right? Don't believe everything you hear.
Or don't believe everything Chuck Schumer says.
Yeah, that's an even better rule, I think. Look, I mean, no, it's not clear that they have the votes. They might. What is clear is that a very large fraction of Republicans want to vote for something so that they can say they did something. Whether the bill has merits or not, they just want to vote for something. And what this is a fig leaf. It doesn't really change anything. It's just another promise, you know, to add more Border Patrol agents and fencing. But it doesn't get at all the underlying problems, the weakness of the interior enforcement, the fact that the legalization and amnesty come before any enforcement, and if the enforcement never happens, all the illegal immigrants stay and can continue to live and work, and the enforcement may never happen. Experience suggests that that's one of the biggest problems, that in the past, Congress has, in 2006, had passed the Secure Fence Act.
Right, that's what I was going to say. There is no fence. It's 36 miles of fence.
When they said there had to be, and they even said where the fence had to run and how it had to be constructed, almost none of it has been done. Congress has 5 times passed an entry-exit system to keep track of temporary visitors when they come and go from the United States. And this bill, of course, would be a 6th time. But every time they pass it, it never gets implemented. Congress drags its feet. It doesn't allocate the funds. The bureaucracy resists. The administration doesn't want to do it. It's exactly like the fence. There is absolutely no reason to believe that the law will be enforced once the amnesty goes through. And that is the fundamental problem on the legalization side. Now, the bill also has all these other loopholes and giveaways, which we could go over. So even if this amendment passes, it doesn't. Not only does it not fix the fundamental problems, but it doesn't fix all the auxiliary problems.
That was my next question. Is this not just an excuse or a bill to give Republicans cover so that they could go to their constituency and say, "Oh, look, I voted for stronger security"? But I'm of the opinion that even if they build a double-edged fence around the whole border, the provisions of this bill, the 1,000 pages or more, are so detrimental to this country and to the Republicans, although they don't seem to know it, that I wouldn't pass the bill if they put in a moat.
Right. I mean, I think that the bottom line is, yeah, there's so many things. The bill doubles legal immigration at a time, and I know it sounds unbelievable.
When there's no jobs.
Right. There's almost.
Well, then, Steve, let me stop you, because every advocate that I have on, and people like the Wall Street Journal, they'll tell you, well, and the CBO study shows, although we'll get to some other things the CBO study shows, that it's going to, it's going to be a tax bonanza for this country. It's going to increase, it's going to lower the debt, blah, blah, blah. But how do you add all these people? First of all, the legal ones, the high-skilled and low-skilled, the people who are here now. How do you legalize all these people, bring more people into the job market when there are no jobs, and that's going to help us? I just don't get it.
No, it doesn't make any sense. Look, let's go with what the CBO says. If you think what the CBO says about the fiscal impacts are right, then you have to accept the whole argument that the CBO makes. And their thing is the bill's a complete failure, because it actually says that it will only reduce future people who will come in the future illegal immigration by 25%.
Right, 75% of illegal immigration, excuse me, will continue under the Senate bill. That is mind-boggling. The bill is a failure on its face.
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly right. So even if you accept what CBO says about this small fiscal benefit, the fact of the matter is that they say it won't have almost any effect on illegal immigration. We'll have 5 million new illegal immigrants, people who aren't here yet but who will come illegally, plus their children in 10 years, and 7.5 in 20. In other words, it doesn't slow the illegal immigration in much in the first 10 or in the next 10 years. So if you accept the CBO's small fiscal benefit, you have to accept the CBO's argument that it's a complete and total failure. The bill has to be rejected on that fact alone. Now, let me say this.
Well, and let me just tell folks, we're talking to Steve Camarota, a Director of Research for the Center for Immigration Studies on the Steve Malzberg Show. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, let me say this. I've read over the whole 62 pages of the CBO report. They don't explain anything. And what are their assumptions? I mean, the research, which I do and which everyone
They don't
else does,
explain anything, you said?
No. Let me give you a quick example.
Yeah.
If you want to know what the fiscal impact of immigrants are, all the research shows you have to know what the educational attainment is likely to be of the immigrants, right? Because the research indicates that immigrants, say, who don't have a high school education are a large net fiscal drain, using more in services than they pay in taxes,
right.
while the most immigrants, immigrants who are college educated, pay more in taxes than they use in services. It's just common sense, but all the research shows that. They don't have any discussion of that in the report. They don't tell me what they think the educational attainment of the illegal immigrants are, which we do know a lot about, or even the future immigrants. And that is the key determinant of their fiscal impact. They just say, well, we think they'll pay X in taxes and use Y in services, and we come out with this number. And you have to take our word for it. It doesn't flush out why they think those things. But, you know, in fairness, it doesn't even flush out why they think that illegal immigrants will keep coming even if this bill passes. In other words, it doesn't explain anything. It's hard to take the thing seriously.
Well, okay, but if we do take seriously that 75% of illegal immigration will continue, and here's another thing that Jeff Sessions made clear yesterday, that and you could tell me if you see this in the bill in the CBO analysis, that the Senate bill would allow 46. You might have alluded to this already. 46 million immigrants by 2033, which is 20 years from now. 46 million more people in this country looking for work, using a healthcare system that's going to be decimated by Obamacare. And by the way, I'd say 45.5 of the 46 million will be Democratic Party voters. So what, I mean, is that accurate according to, not my analysis, but is that statistic in the CBO report as Sessions related?
It's over 40 million new immigrants that this bill will admit. Remember, it doubles legal immigration from about this is the permanent immigration, from 1 to 2 million a year, and it creates an enormous number of new guest workers programs, and many of these new categories are uncapped, so an unlimited number of people can come in. So we don't really know for sure, and when Sessions tried to introduce amendments to limit those provisions, say, well, look, how about we just limit it to 2 million a year instead of 1 million?
No.
Well, it all got voted down, even by the Republicans. And your other point, is this an unremitting electoral disaster for the Republican Party? Absolutely. The amnesty beneficiaries plus the new immigrants, it's hard to see how the Republicans would ever win another presidential election. Having said that, that may not be so odd. That may not be a reason not to vote for the bill. But yes, everything we know about the political opinions of new immigrants, including Hispanics and non-Hispanics, are that they tend to favor the Democratic Party because the Democrats favor expansive government, and the immigrants are in favor of it.
Right, and let me give you one more scenario, and I ask this to everybody, and more people are agreeing with me. Once this bill is passed, whatever is left out of the bill, and there will be things left out of the bill because Republicans won't sign on, like the Leahy Amendment and others, and then the minute it's signed, or right before the midterm elections, or in concert with the midterm election campaign, the Democrats will say, the evil Republicans, here's why you can't bring your gay partner with you. Here's why you can't do this. Here's why you can't do that, because the evil Republicans who pretend to like Hispanics wouldn't let us do this. So no matter how far they bend, no matter how far they move, they're not going to endear themselves to the Hispanics that have this as their primary issue, and that's not many, because they're going to be portrayed as evil again.
Right. No, absolutely. So, for example, the way this bill works is lots of folks, everybody gets legalized on the first day, and then we have this promise of enforcement. But you don't get your full green card. You get that green card light that lets you live and work in the United States and even travel to and from the United States freely. But you don't get the full green card for some people for about 10 years. Now, other people get it much quicker if they came at younger ages and if they work in agriculture. But most of them won't get it for 10 years. And then once they get the green card, 3 years after that, they can be citizens. But the thing of it is, once the bill is passed, why won't the Democrats say, look, many of these people have been here very long. Let's only let them wait 2 years or 3 years. And the Republicans will say, well, wait, that wasn't the original agreement. And the Democrats say, well, then you're mean. You're
absolutely, and they're right back to square one. Only they've already given in for a 1,000-page bill that's going to be a disaster, not only for the country but specifically to their party. I'd like to do what Michelle Obama urges people to do. I'd like to shake the Republican senators and say, what are you thinking? Anyway, Steve, thank you so much, sir. Pleasure talking to you.
Thanks.